Welcome back to another episode of Ideas to Human Better. This is the podcast. I am Eva Payne, and today I hope to offer up an idea for all of us to human a little bit better these days. We are living in unprecedented times, at least in my lifetime. And how do we get out of this place? How do we get out of crazy town? How do we move forward in a way that's going to be productive for everybody? In full disclosure, I am completely against all violence. I'm against war of any kind. I am against one human killing another human for any reason whatsoever, ever. I think it's primitive. I think there are 100 better ways to come to a resolution and to come together. And so much of it starts with education. I believe that we have one of the most broken education systems. It was probably just built this way, and it just needs to be wiped clean, and we need to start over. We need to look at every single human being as having potential to add purpose and value to humanity, to their community, to their neighborhood, to a profession. And as long as we view people as less than or them versus us, we will keep coming back around to this place of chaos and crazy town and destruction of souls and spirit and property. And all of it is absolutely bonkers. It is like a circus out there. One of the things that I learned about that helped me come up with this visualization of crazy town and the difference between living in flow and living in crazy town was David R. Hawkins' book, Power versus Force. And if you're following me on YouTube, you are going to see, I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm going to go over Power versus Force and what I see here. So David R. Hawkins talks about power versus force and how force comes from this place where shame and guilt and apathy and grief and fear and anger and pride all reside. Force is trying to push your influence on someone else. And when we are not taught the difference between power and force, and power being the ability to influence in a positive way, power is enlightenment and peace and joy and love and reason, acceptance and willingness and courage. Everything tips at courage. And we need to be courageous enough to pull ourselves away from the media right now. We need to be courageous enough to protest for peace right now. We need to be courageous enough to say, how do we fix the systems that are no longer working in a way that will benefit everyone? And then we need to be courageous enough to actually do it. See, I am not a politician. I never want to be a politician. I think politics are one of the most corrupt, broken systems that we have out there, especially once we started putting corporations and viewing them as people and allowing them to influence our politics by donating to politicians. So politicians feel like they need to be in alignment and support those who give them money. Same with studies out there at universities. If, let's say, Monsanto is paying for a study, guess what? It's going to favor Monsanto. If Joe Schmo's paying for a study or paying for someone to be in a place of power, then that study or that person is going to follow along with where that money comes from. There's so much force put on us believing that the monetary system and that money has more value in our lives than purpose and meaning. Even our school systems are so corrupt. The fact that we do not have social emotional learning as a core curriculum, K through 12, that it is not something that is taught every year at every school, that we don't look at the child as a whole person who comes here with talents ready to be nurtured, that they don't come here with strengths, that every single person doesn't have the ability to contribute, that we think that if you are not good at math or science or English and you don't fall into the traditional school system, well, then you just get some measly job that doesn't matter and your life doesn't have meaning. We put so much value on grades and not what that person can actually contribute. If we looked at each individual, let me get out of this thing. Hold on really quick. If we looked at each individual as an individual and said, what do you need? Who are you? What are your talents and strengths and interests? How can you contribute to society in a meaningful way? As long as we keep seeing people as pawns and there's puppeteers that are sending people this way and that way, we have social media that uses algorithms to alter our perceptions and our perspectives and try to influence the masses. And we don't know how to build up discernment and how to know for ourselves truly what is quote unquote right or wrong for us. And we just go along because we want to fit in. And as long as we're shaming people for not going along with how we go along, all of that is absolute madness. It is crazy town. It is force. It is the anger and pride and fear and guilt and shame that is going to continue to rise up over and over again. And eventually people can only stay down for so long. And while I am 100% against violence, I understand where it's coming from. Because these individuals are so unconscious and are so disconnected from their light, from their core, from knowing who they really are, that they don't care anymore. It doesn't matter if they light that thing on fire or beat that person up or say hurtful, meanful things. Or worse, do hurtful, meanful things to one another based on things that don't matter. I just really, in my heart of hearts, wish that we could come together and that we could see the individual child as whole and perfect and beautiful and full of potential. And that we take our education system and we wipe it clean and we start over. And we say, what works? How do we find this person's talents? How do we discover their interests? And how do we nurture those things? How do we figure out what they're already strong in? And the things that they're not strong in, who cares? Let those things go. Someone else will be strong in those things and they can contribute in that way. But as long as we think that there are people who are better than other people who deserve more than other people because they were quote unquote smarter in school or had more opportunity because of where they lived or their zip code, we are going to continue to find ourselves in cycles of destruction. I think about in the Bible, it talks about the flood and how God was just like, yeah, we're going to start over, and wiped the earth clean. I get it. I can see where we could go down that path and the earth could just say, oh yeah, we're done. The powers that be could just say, oh yeah, nope, start over. Something went wrong in how we taught, how we evolved, how we grew. And I'm saying before we get to that place, because man, it looks like we are headed there fast, we need to find courage to step up and do the things that we know are right in our hearts. That when we find the courage to utilize what our strengths are and our interests and our desires to make a difference in this world, and we say no to violence of all kind anywhere on this planet, and we say peace for all, equality for all, we are going to continue to find ourselves here. I truly believe that we are beings of light inside, having this wacky human experience, that we are not taught how to control our emotions. We are not taught how to be aware. And unless it happens to come across, unless Eckhart Tolle happens to come across your knowingness, or others who are teachers in these ways, who teach us about consciousness and teach us about wholeness and teach us how we can do better. That's the kind of learning that we need in our schools. That's the kind of learning. It's not about religion. It's not about I'm right, you're wrong. It's about looking at the individual person and teaching how to get back to baseline, how to calm your emotions, how to get rid of those feelings of pride and anger and fear and guilt, and how to step more into love and more into openness and more into acceptance and more into knowing where you shine best, and then figuring out a way to cultivate and then implement those things into filling needs. You are here to fill a need. You are here to fill a need. And you do that not because the job down the street is just open, and not because you're going to make X amount of dollars a year. You're filling the need because it fills your heart's deepest desires. Those are the needs that need to be filled. The ones that light you up, the ones that make you so excited to get up in the morning. I challenge you to help me build a better world by helping others and ourselves to recognize where our light is and what we can contribute to the world, and then having the courage to actually go and do it. You may not have the ability to end violence in your town if that's what's happening right now, but you can figure out what your talents are, what your strengths are, what your interests are, and then do that. Figure out how to fill a need using that thing. I am so sorry for all of the pain that we are in right now. I see it. I feel it. I am doing my best to stay grounded and to not go into crazy town, because it's so easy when it plagues our everyday lives. It's so easy to get sucked into the tornado. When we are in trauma, when we are in pain, the tornado just sees us and wants to suck us up into it. We can say no. No, I am not going to hurt someone else. No, I am not going to shame someone else for what they know or don't know, or what they post or don't post, or what they say or don't say. No, I'm going to love every single person with where they're at in their journey. I am going to move with peace and love and reason and acceptance, and I am going to do my best to do better every single day, knowing what I know. And I'm going to learn every single day. I'm going to be an open mind, and I'm going to be an open heart, and I'm going to let the information in from all sides. I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to say what moves me closer to love, what doesn't, and let those things go. And the things that move me closer to love, the things that I think, okay, that could make sense, that could be possible. Collaborations, beautiful. Let's collaborate with people of all different backgrounds who have all different beliefs. When we can be open to anyone and everyone's opinion and thoughts and find value in it, then we can start to move forward. There is so much good out there. We are such creative, beautiful humans. We have got to find a better way. We have got to find a better way than where we are right now. Because everything that's happening out there is absolute bonkers. And it's not going to help us. I understand where it comes from. I understand the tornado. I have been in the tornado. I have caused tornadoes. And I am sorry that that is where we are. And I'm sorry that I didn't do more or couldn't do more. But this is what I know how to do, is share ideas. So right now, my idea is to say, let's start from a place of peace and love and courage. Everything tips at courage, according to David R. Hawkins' Power versus Force. Be courageous in following your deepest heart's desires right now. Be courageous to say no to violence. Be courageous to not go out there and participate in hurting other people in whatever way that is. Physical, mental, spiritual. We need to stop. The corporations that are hurting people need to stop. Are you proud of the job that you have today? Are you helping? Are you contributing to the chaos? Are you contributing to people becoming more angry, more prideful, more fearful, more in shame? If you are, have the courage to stop today. Have the courage to use your talents, use your interests, and use your strengths for the betterment of your neighbor, for the betterment of the person who lives 50 miles from you in a community that looks completely different from you. Be courageous with your life, and together we will achieve beautiful, magical amazingness if we are willing to follow our deepest heart's desires. I'm going to look up here a quote really quick before I sign off. Where are we? It takes courage to show up and become who you really are. It takes courage. That's E.E. Cummings. It takes courage to grow up and show up and become who you really are. Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. Courage is grace under pressure. That's Ernest Hemingway. Prior to that, Sir Winston Churchill. If you need inspiration so that you can be courageous, Google courage quotes. See what comes up for you. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for listening. I'm sitting in prayer and meditation a lot these days. I hope you can too. If you don't know what to do that. Start there. Start with just becoming aware of how you're feeling and where you are. I love you. I'm grateful for you. Thank you for taking the time to listen. This has been another episode of Ideas to Human Better, and I am Eva Payne.